Hey guys, it's Miss Fields coming on here today with your reading lesson. Today is Thursday, April 9th. So, for our reading lesson today, we are going to first go over our learning intention and our success criteria, just like we do in the classroom, guys, because remember, that is so important because it tells us what we are learning so that if someone asks you, hey, what are you doing in reading over there, right? You can be able to tell them, oh, I'm learning this. And then not only should you know what you're learning, but you should also know when you're successful after your lesson or after you've done an assignment, correct? So that is what our success criteria is. So I'm going to read it first, and then I want you to just listen. And then I'm going to read it again, and I want you to read it with me. I am learning how two versions of the same story can share similarities and differences. Okay, let's read it together. I am learning how two versions of the same story can share similarities and differences. So let's break that down for just a second. We're talking about the I am learning part. It says that you are going to take two versions of the same story. Okay, so you're going to take this story and this story, but they're the same story, okay? They're just told by different people or they're written a little differently, but essentially they are the same story. And we're going to talk about how they are similar and how they are different, right? And you'll have heard those terms before. We also call that comparing and contrasting, which we have done before, not with two versions of the same story, but we have compared and contrasted things before. Your success criteria, I can explain the similarities and the differences in a text. Okay, think about it. Now I want you to say it with me. I can explain the similarities and the differences in a text. Okay, so if you can do this by the end of today's lesson and by the end of you reading today's story and taking the quiz, then you're successful for today's lesson. So, we have all seen this before. A Venn diagram, okay? We have made Venn diagrams, we have filled them out together, you have filled them out individually with partners and things like that. So we are very familiar with our Venn diagrams, okay? Here is a particular Venn diagram where I am comparing and contrasting mammals and fish, okay? So I'm contrasting mammals and fish. Okay, so I have my two circles. My blue circle here is for my mammals. Notice how I have this title here because if I don't have that title, then I'm not going to know what I'm talking about in each circle, right? I could be talking about fish or I could be talking about pizza, right? I don't know. But if I have this title here, this tells me, oh, this circle is about this particular animal or this particular topic. Now, if I go over here to my yellow circle, I have a fish here, so this is also a title. If I did not have this here, I would not know what animal it is talking about. So, and then remember in the middle, notice how the circles are overlapping, which is super cool because they overlap because this is where the two things are similar. So, how they are alike. Okay. Notice I have here different, and then alike. Okay. So, for my mammals, I came up with they are warm blooded, they have hair or fur, breathe with their lungs, and they have live births. Okay, so that means when the things are born, you know, they come out alive already. Just like think about mammals, we are mammals, okay? So when you came out, you came out crying and kicking and things like that, right? You came out alive, okay? So those are how mammals differ or contrast from fish. Now, over here for my fish, I said that they are cold blooded, okay? They have scaly skin, they hatch from eggs, they breathe with gills, and they live in water. Okay, those are how those things, mammals and fish, contrast. Now, come on here in the center right here, and what do you notice? I have two things here. It says vertebrates and have a skeleton. So those are how these two things are alike, okay? So remember, one side is how they're different, one side is how they're different, and then the center is how they're alike. One title goes on the other side, the other title goes in the other side. Okay, so today we have a model story. It is two different stories. Notice how I have text 1 and text 2. So you can follow along with me and know which one I am using. Okay, so Chicken felt something fall on her head. One day, she quickly ran across the farm to tell Duck that the sky was falling. Duck and Chicken sprinted to tell Hen that the sky was falling. She was shocked, so she went with Chicken and Duck to tell Rooster that the sky was falling. Rooster immediately looked at them and told them to stop and think. He said that the sky could not fall and something must have fallen on Chicken's head. He told the rest of them to think for themselves next time. Huh. Okay. So, looks like in our story here, we've got a chicken, we've got a duck, and we've got a rooster. And looks like apparently people keep getting told that things are falling from things are falling from the sky. So let's read here about Greta the witch. It says, Greta the witch saw something run past her. She thought she saw a ghost. Greta ran to Vicky, the vampire, to tell her there was a ghost on the farm. Greta and Vicky ran to tell Max, the mummy, about the ghost. Max, Greta, and Vicky ran to the Great Pumpkin to tell him about the ghost. The Great Pumpkin told them this could not be true because there was no such thing as a ghost. He told Vicky, Max, and Greta to think about what they were going to say. So, I want you to think a minute to yourself, kind of like a little think, pair, share, but you're going to do this with yourself. Think about what are these two stories about and what are some things you notice that they have in common. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to think. Okay, I said minutes, but I should have said seconds. My question to you is, what happens to the character in text 1? What happens to the character here? I wonder. Okay. Chicken seems to be our main character here. So Chicken felt something fall on her head one day. Okay. So she felt something fall on her head. Okay. Then what does Chicken do after she feels something fall on her head? She goes and tells somebody else, and then they go tell somebody else, and then they go tell somebody else, and then they go tell somebody else, right? And then it turns out that nothing, like things don't just fall from the sky. And so, they were pretty much spreading this rumor, right? Which is something that's not true. Okay. What about text 2? What happens here? Greta and Witch saw something run past her. She thought she saw a ghost. Oh no. Okay, so Greta the Witch thinks she sees a ghost. And then she also goes to tell somebody else. Okay, she goes to tell the vampire, then they go tell the mummy, then they go tell the pumpkin, right? And it's just this big old chain of people saying this stuff, right? But there's no such thing as ghost, right? So it wasn't really there, right? She was just imagining it. But, when she's telling people this, she's getting them all worked up, right? And so they are believing her. But think about, where do the stories take place? Where do both of these stories take place? Because they have that in common. That's a similarity, the settings of the story. Where do they both take place? Oh, a farm. Because if you see here, it says she quickly ran across the farm. Oh, and then if I come down here, I also see the word farm. Greta ran to Vicky the vampire to tell her there was a ghost on the farm. Oh, okay. So both of the stories take place on a farm, and I have just confirmed that because I see farm here and I see the word farm here. Okay. So, how are the stories similar? Well, both characters think something happens. So they spread this rumor, right? They go tell people, and then this group goes and tells this group, right? And then it's just this big old thing. And then other people believe them and they keep telling all of these people, right? And then eventually all of these people are all worked up and scared and things like that when there's really nothing to even be scared about. Okay. And then how are the stories different? So, how are they different? Well, one story, so this story, text one, talks about the sky falling, while the other, this one, text two, talks about seeing a ghost. Okay. Or if I wanted to tell how the characters are different, notice how this story has birds in it. Okay, so it's got chickens and ducks and roosters and things like that. And this story has Halloween characters. So it's got a witch, it's got a vampire, it's got a mummy, a pumpkin, right? So those are how the characters differ. Even though the stories had similar events happen, right? There's still differences in the story, which is what makes stories so interesting because they can still be the same, but also still be so different. Nice job, guys. All right, so today this is your story, okay? Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and then Ginger and the Three Bikes, okay? This is the story you should be reading today. You should be able to find this in your second baggie that we sent home with you all, that you all came to pick up from the school. I am going to read it with you once, okay? And you can a great idea would be to get it out in front of you and follow along with me as I read it. Okay. And then I'm going to have you read it again, so that when you do your assignment, you've heard it once, and then I want you to read it again a second time by yourself. Okay. So we're going to start here. Goldilocks and the Three Bears. One day, Goldilocks walked upon a house which was wide open and empty. She peeked in, hoping to take a rest from her day in the forest. When she saw it was empty, she walked in and thought to get herself some food. She tried one bowl of porridge, which was much too hot. Then she tried the second bowl of porridge, which was much too cold. Finally, she tried the smallest bowl of porridge, which was just right. Then Goldilocks wanted to relax, so she looked for a chair to sit in. She sat in a tall chair, but it was too hard. Then she sat in a medium sized chair, but it was too soft. Then she sat in a small chair, and it was just right. After sitting for a bit, Goldilocks decided she needed to sleep. She tried to she tried to the big bed, but it was too hard. She tried the medium sized bed, but it was too soft. When she tried the small bed, she fell right to sleep because it was perfect. When she woke up, though, she was looking at the huge bear. Oh no. So she gets caught in their bed. I wonder how that ended. All right, next story. Ginger and the Three Bikes. One summer day, Ginger was walking through the city to her apartment. Her legs grew too tired to walk, so she sat down on the sidewalk. To her right, she saw three bikes. One of the bikes was huge and blue, so she tried that one. Its gears were much too tight and she could barely reach the pedals. She brought it back and tried the next bike. It was purple and medium sized, but the brakes and gears there were way too loose. Ginger thought she was going to crash the bike. So she brought that one back and tried the third bike. She hopped on the pink bike and decided it was just perfect for her. It was the perfect size and it wasn't too hard to ride. However, when she got around the corner, her instincts were telling her this was wrong. No matter how tired she was of walking, she realized that this was stealing. So she turned around and returned the pink bike. Huh. Okay, so pretty cool. We have two stories that are very similar, okay, but also very different. Remember, just like our stories that we just read. So, this is your task for today. This is also what you should have access to in front of you in your baggie. This is what you are going to complete. I have started a little bit with you here. Notice my Venn diagram. Notice how I have my title here because that's super important. I have Goldilocks and the three bears here in my green square or green circle, and then I have Ginger and the three bikes in my orange circle. Okay, and notice how I still have the two overlapping here because this is how they are similar. So I decided to talk about the characters in the story. And so on my Goldilocks side, I said a girl named Goldilocks and the three bears at the end. So there's a girl named Goldilocks, and then the bears come in at the end, but they're still a part of the story because they're also a part of the title, right? So there's Goldilocks and there's three bears. Then we have Goldilocks gets caught. So she gets caught with what she was doing in the bed, right? But then over here, I have Ginger and the three bikes. So we have a girl named Ginger. So their names are different. They're both girls, but their names are different. Then we have Ginger returns the bike. So Goldilocks gets caught over here, but Ginger returns the bike, right? So she does not get caught because she realizes that she is doing something not good. And then in the center, I have both girls bother things that aren't theirs. Okay, so that's very similar. They're both girls and they both touch and bother things that do not belong to them. That is how the characters are similar. So I have just helped you through the first two. Okay, use this Venn diagram to help you answer 1 and 2. And then you are going to do 3, 4, 5, and 6 on your own. Okay, and then when you're done, you're going to take the quiz for today that you all can find in Google Classroom. All right, guys, it was good seeing you all and talking with you all. I hope you all are having a fabulous Thursday, and I know that you all will do great. Have a good day. Bye.